Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the new Ubuntu installer, which is in the Ubuntu 23.04 daily build. And Ubuntu 23.04 will be officially releasing sometime in late April of this year. In this video, I'm gonna just take a look at the installer, look at what changed, what remains the same, and give you a final opinion on the new installer. Do I like it? Do I not? And why? I think it'll be interesting. But anyway, let's get right into it. Alright, so now if you want to try this out for yourself, you can get a daily build of Ubuntu 23.04 by going to cd-image.ubuntu.com and then click on Daily Live and then click Current. And then that'll bring you to the download page for the latest daily build of Ubuntu 23.04. So we're gonna get the 64-bit PC image. Now I've already downloaded this file, and I've got a virtual machine set up with it. So let's start it up, boot from the ISO, and then I'm going to choose to try or install Ubuntu. I found that in my experience, when you first start up the new installer, it just hangs forever on the choose your language screen. This is probably because it's still in development, and I'm sure that'll be ironed out by the time the final release rolls around. But one thing I've noticed is that if you close out the installer, it actually finally has a seamless transition to the desktop. So huge props to the Ubuntu team on that. But anyway, I'm gonna start the installer right back up, and now it'll let me select my language. English is already selected, that's perfect, and I will continue with the keyboard layout. One thing that's new is that no matter what, it'll now bring you to the internet connection screen, where you can actually set up your Wi-Fi connection if your computer has it, which this VM doesn't. So you can choose to use a wired connection, a Wi-Fi, or to not connect to the internet right now. But anyway, let's click continue. And another thing I've noticed is that the options to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and install support for additional media formats is now kept separate in case you prefer to have one without the other. Say you need proprietary drivers, but you don't really want support for proprietary media codecs. You can choose to do that now easily. Now, for a new user, I just recommend checking both these off to prevent any issues that may be caused by not having these. But anyway, let's click continue. Now this doesn't detect the Windows installation that's on the system. However, it will let me install this on a dual boot. Again, this is probably because it's still in development. I'm sure this will be ironed out by the time the final release rolls around. But anyway, let's look at our advanced features here. Under if we were to erase the disk, pretty much the same that we've always had. Nothing really new here. But anyway, I'm gonna click continue, and let's even this out better. That's probably good. Oh, and now the right changes to the disk prompt actually now takes up the full screen. That's something I love. But anyway, let's start installing. And then it'll prompt me to select my time zone. I noticed that they have two separate boxes for it. I guess with this you can do either or. I'm not really quite sure how this works. I love this redesigned user setup screen. But I'm gonna punch in my name, my virtual machine name. And for username, I always just like to do Drew, since that's the way the Ubuntu installer has always done it. Just use the first name. Now this just strings both in. But anyway, now I'm gonna pick a password, and it's more aggressive with telling me that the passwords do not match. And I now notice this show password option, which I'm not gonna check off here. And the options to either set up automatic login or require the password to log in are now condensed into this one toggle. But anyway, I'm gonna click continue. And new, this will actually let you choose light or dark mode to start out with. I actually like the dark mode, so I'm gonna switch to that. Took a little while. Being in a virtual machine probably doesn't help. But anyway, now it's gonna bring me to the revised installation screen, and I notice that the button to show the installation log is now more recognizable. That's a plus. But anyway, we'll just let this install, and I'll speed this up. Alright, so it just finished installing. I do love the redesigned screen that allows you to restart or continue testing. Okay, so good news, it did detect our Windows installation during the install process when it actually got to installing Grub, and it actually put it on our bootloader. Overall, I really love the new installer, especially the revamped theme and the improved UX consistency across the installer, meaning that every UI element in the installer is consistent with the whole design and everything is what you'd expect it to be. And I almost forgot to mention that I also love how, although the theme and overall design of the installer's user interface has changed, the actual installation flow and options have only undergone a few minor revisions, which is nice because this makes it more friendly to Ubuntu veterans who've done Ubuntu installations before, who don't have to figure out a new installation flow. And it's also nice for me since I don't have to now make an updated video for the new installation flow. Now there's just a few things that I don't like. One is that the new installer doesn't do as good of a job at showing the user where in the installation process they are, unlike the installer that's currently in use that has a progress bar of sorts throughout the entire installation process that would show the user where in the installation process they are. And last but not least, once you actually get to the installing Ubuntu screen after you've gone through all the options and set up your partitions and account and everything, unlike with the installer that's currently in use, it doesn't really show you how much progress the installer has made in installing Ubuntu. Now, an important thing to note here is that this installer is from a release that is still in development, so these things that I've mentioned in this video are subject to change between now and when the final release rolls around. So if you decide to go try this out yourself when the final release of Ubuntu 23.04 rolls around, your mileage may vary. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment.